In this video, we're going to talk about the sales budget, right? This is the first step in budgeting for operations, right? So we need to come up with a sales forecast, and management is going to have a good estimate, right, of sales revenue. We may have to use some outside information like our market share, industry predictions, but every budget that we do now is going to be based on these sales. So we want to be as perfect as we can, right? Again, we'll never be 100% perfect, but we want to understand how we think we're going to produce, or the things we need to produce in the next period. So here we have sales volume, right? So we expect 3,000 units in the next quarter, and we expect that to grow by 500 units per quarter. So we're going to have 15,000 units by the end of the year. And the sales price of each one is $60. So now we can calculate by the quarter what we think our revenue will be for the year. And in this case, we expect to have annual income of around $900,000. This piece then leads us to the production budget, right? How many units do we need to sell in order to create this level of sales, right, for those units? And so how do we do that? We need to know, well, we expect a certain number of units, right? We said the next quarter, 3,000. But we need to understand something about beginning finished units, right? So what do we have in the beginning? And we also need to understand that every company wants to have some leftover inventory. We want a little extra at the end. So if you take the sales units you expect plus the ending minus the beginning finished goods, this gives us the required production units for that period. So let's see how that might work. We believe that we need an ending inventory of 20% of next quarter's budgeted sales volume, right? So our ending inventory is 20%. So here we have ending inventory. This quarter, the first quarter, we want that to end with 700 units. How did we get the 700? It's 20% of 3,500 sales in the next quarter. So that means we have a total of 3,700 required units, and we started off with 600. So this quarter, we're going to have to produce 3,100 units. And then we just continue that on moving forward. So for this year, we predict that we're going to make approximately 15,400 units. Now, just to let you know, that's a little bit different, right? We only predicted 15,000 units to sell, but we're predicting that based on our needs, right, we're actually going to have to create 15,400 units. What's next? Direct materials, right? So we need to know the direct materials required for the production. And again, add to that the ending inventory and direct material units, subtract out the beginning, gives us the direct material units we need to produce. So once we know the units we need to produce, we need to know the cost per unit. That gives us the cost of materials. So each unit produces requires 2 pounds of materials. That's $4 a pound. We maintain an ending inventory of raw materials of 10% of the next quarter's production. The desired ending direct materials is 1020 at the end of the period in 2022. So now we have to prepare the direct materials budget. How do we do that? Well, here are the units that we got from up above that we're going to produce every month. Direct materials per unit. There's 2 for every unit. So that means we're going to have in pounds. This is the poundage we need. We started off ending direct materials as 720. Where do we get that? We said we want 20% of next period sales. That's 720. Here's 820. What's that? That's 20% of 4,100. So the total materials required for the period are listed here. We then subtract out the beginning, right? Again, this comes from just at the end of the period, we take inventory. And then we take that, how much we have to buy then, that's the purchases, times $4 per pound. This tells us our total cost of direct materials purchased. Again, that's kind of short and sweet, but now we're in the midst of doing this budgeting process. So we now have looked at how do we predict sales. Based on sales, how do we predict units? Based on the units, how do we predict the actual purchases and the cost of getting those units, that inventory? Look forward to talk to you soon.